am joined by my significant other, John Ramdeen, as we chat about all the news going on in the world of combat sports. And John, this coming Friday afternoon, while most people are at work doing an honest living, you're going to be sitting in front of a television watching KSW 35.
You are damn right, sir. Mamed Khalidov, one of my favorite fighters, not fighting for the world's biggest organization, being the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And one of the reasons why I love KSW is because they kind of molded themselves after Pride Fighting Championships. You look at the entire design, the look, the feel.
The utilization of a tank.
Yes, exactly. You're trying to entertain the crowd, and on top of that, you want the best fighters you can possibly get. And Mamed Khalidov, he legitimizes the organization. We all look at Mariusz Pudzianowski, the former world's strongest man, who is a legitimate martial artist. This guy practiced karate throughout his life, and when he made that move to mixed martial arts, went and trained with American Top Team. So the goal is to be an improving mixed martial artist, and I think that's what the fans are going to get when they tune into KSW. And you see Mariusz Pudzianowski here, not afraid to tangle with some big names as he takes out Hollis Gracie in impressive form. So it's just one of those organizations that the KSW brand, it's about entertainment, it's about giving the fans, action, and that's, I think, what we're going to get from 35.
Yeah, I think Mariusz Pudzianowski is somebody that, even if you're not following KSW, someone that you're at least familiar with name-wise, Mamed Khalidov as well, and Mikhail Maturla, who's a former 185-pound champion. So you have all three of these in individual fights. It feels like this is a great showcase card for KSW, using a lot of their pieces, very fan-friendly fighters as well. And as you mentioned in Mamed Khalidov, a middleweight that, to me, is somebody that could very well export easily to North America if he were to come over. But KSW, this is by no means some kind of minor league organization. There is an incredible following in Poland, and you watch these shows and the amount of people they draw at world-class facilities. I mean, these guys are not running armories by any stretch.
Yeah, I love this, and one of the reasons why is because Mamed Khalidov, people are like, well, if he's such a great fighter, why isn't he not in the world's biggest promotion in the Ultimate Fighting Championship? Well, they offered him a contract, and he said it was significantly lower than the amount of money that he currently makes fighting for the KSW organization. He goes, so I'd be kind of taking a step back. And on top of that, he goes, I'm very, very proud of the fact that I helped build KSW and open up mixed martial arts to the Polish people. So he certainly has ties to the KSW organization, and he wants to help spread the word of MMA in his adopted home country now of Poland. But I think what's interesting about it is he's just a well-rounded mixed martial artist. Yes, he's got a lot of submission victories, but if he needs to go the distance, he will. And on top of that, he can knock your lights out. One of the most exciting fighters, I think, in the world right now.
They will also be crowning a lightweight champion, which that title has been vacant. And this is also the promotion where, for UFC fans, that Karolina Kowalkiewicz came from as well. Jan Blachowicz as well. So, I mean, you are seeing quite a scene in Poland that has been built around this KSW organization. So I think that those that tune in on Friday, I mean, it does air on our network, but if it was airing on our competitor, I would say the same thing as well.
100%. And I think the reasons why is because it is fan-friendly. It's exciting. And especially when KSW, when they have Mamed Khalidov or they have Mikhail Maturla or any of these fighters, it's not softballs. They give them legitimate talent. Gamrot, for example, Matthias Gamrot, going to be fighting for the vacant title unbeaten at 10-0, taking on Mansour Banuri, who I called for the Instinct organization, who right now is 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss losing to Ivan Butchinger, who's like 25-4 right now. On top of going on that streak, 4-1, has a win over Colin Fletcher and Kurt Warburton, who are also fought in the UFC. So they're not giving their fighters softballs. They want them to face off with some of the best talent they can find.
When you look at a KSW, and certainly the UFC is in their own league. If they want to go to Poland, they're going to go to Poland on their own. But for a promotion like a Bellator that is very much open to co-promotions and working with other organizations, is that something that as Bellator tries to really put their international footprint out there, that working with a KSW could be beneficial to both sides? Some of these fighters, for instance, coming in and being seen by North American fans, that's going to raise their profile, and it also leads to Bellator expanding internationally. I think that's something that we could be seeing more of. And Bellator and KSW are two examples of organizations that do have their own audiences, and combined, I think it would help both sides.
Yeah, very true. And Mamed Khalidov did have ties to the Bellator organization in the past. They offered him a contract to fight in the tournament. And he's like, I don't know if I necessarily want to fight in the tournament because it's so long. Let me fight for your title, and I'll do that. And I think that was the Bjorn Rebney days. I would not be surprised to see Scott Coker be very open to the fact of, co-promoting Bellator and KSW to help both brands.
Now, the UFC, they do have a few fight announcements that they have made. Looking ahead to that card, July the 13th, which I'm calling the hangover card because that will come after 3 events from the prior weekend. It's a Wednesday night card, which does have some good fights. Michael Chiesa will be taking on Tony Ferguson in the main event, and they've just announced that Ryan Hall will be in action, taking on Alex White, who is someone that I think has a lot of upside to him. As we saw with Ryan Hall, this was a guy that just took Artem Lobov to the mat, and it was something to watch. I mean, very much Damian Maia-esque when it comes to using his grappling as his primary tool that has just rendered his opponents ineffective.
Yeah, what's interesting about Ryan Hall is he's an intellect. This guy is very, very analytical, and he is kind of his biggest critic. Having the chance to work with TriStar or the guys at SBG, he's going to continue to improve as a martial artist. As a matter of fact, he fought on one of the same cards that Robin fought on, and he took his opponent down, and you can hear the corner of Ryan Hall, for us being that guy, don't choke him. We all know how good your jiu-jitsu is. We know that you can submit your opponents. There's going to be a situation where you're not going to be able to submit them, get those reps, get that time in these kind of uncomfortable positions, and you know that Ryan Hall took that information and he's applied it, and he's constantly growing as a martial artist. I expect to see big things from him in the future.
When you always hear the term well-rounded fighters, but when you have a skill set that is so superior, like a Damian Maia, I would argue for a Ryan Hall as well, do you feel that use that to your advantage?
Yeah.
I mean, why stand and trade with someone and negate your chances of victory when you have a skill set that is unique to yourself? You are in that 1% at the top of the grappling food chain that when a Damian Maia can do what he did to a Gunnar Nelson, for instance, I mean, why would you want to showcase hands with a guy like that?
I think one of the reasons why, because I've asked the same question, and a lot of these artists that have dedicated their lives to wrestling or boxing or jiu-jitsu, once they start learning something new, it's like, wait a second, I'm getting confident with this. I need to test this in real life, a real live scenario, being a mixed martial arts endeavor. Where Ryan Hall, we all know how good he is in jiu-jitsu. He knows how good he is. Now it's time to test the other areas of your game that you've been working so diligently on, and I can't blame him.
They've also announced a fight for UFC 201 at the end of July. That will see Eric Perez fighting Francisco Rivera. Unlike Ryan Hall, I don't know how much grappling we will see in this fight. This is just going to be hands flying, and this will be one of those fireworks fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you anticipate, but Perez working with Jackson, right?
Yes.
And Greg Jackson, one of the masters of strategy in mixed martial arts. Do you really want to do that? Francisco, he has lightning fast hands. Yes, his takedown defense is going to be there. It's going to be offensive, but you got to try to find a way to take away his firepower. Maybe the best plan is to put this guy up against the cage and try to gas him out there.
As you look at that UFC 201 card, we have 2 title fights with Robbie Lawler, Tyron Woodley, and Demetrius Johnson defending his title against Wilson Hayes. I know you're going to be buying this show. As you look at a whole, people have just bought UFC 200. You go back to the best precedent here, UFC 101 was a massive card. It featured Anderson Silva, Forrest Griffin, as well as BJ Penn taking on Kenny Florian, and that was a card that did incredible business on pay-per-view. So there wasn't that burnout factor or people worried about spending too much money. With 201, do you sense that at all, that people are coming off not just a big show in 200, but you have all the surrounding events, even free cards coming out after it? It's not like 2009 where it was still your big one monthly card. I mean, there's a Fox card in between there as well before 201.
Yeah, I just think that people are going to be choosy when there's so much choice, and it's like, okay, how much time am I going to dedicate? Am I going to dedicate time to watching Eddie Alvarez, and then dedicate the time to watching Joanna Jacek, and then of course this huge UFC 200 card, and then the following week, and then I'm going to...
This is daunting as you're just... This is all in like a month.
I know. And then you're going to dish out another $60 I think if you're a real hardcore mixed martial arts fans, you have to see Robbie Lawler. They've been talking about this fight with Tyron Woodley for such a long time. They were former teammates, and now Tyron Woodley working at Rufus Sport, and Demetrius Johnson still arguably the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. So I think fans are still going to tune in. Is it going to be 800,000 pay-per-view buys? I don't think so, but I think fans are going to get pretty explosive mixed martial arts.
Well, you're getting a pretty strong free card this Sunday night, and we will have a preview of that event from Las Vegas coming up Thursday night, 7 Eastern, headlined by Thomas Almeida and Cody Garbrandt, and we will be bringing you the prelims on Sunday night here in Canada on Fight Network at 7 Eastern, headlined by Sarah McMahon taking on Jessica Ai.